Hello and welcome back to the Built Different podcast with your host, Steven Pettigrew. My guest today is Jonathan Molloy. Jonathan is an entrepreneur and acquisition entrepreneur who is looking to acquire businesses in Scotland and around the UK, doing between 1 million and 10 million pounds. Today we had a lot of good conversations, a lot of great insights. We spoke about fitness journey, acquisition journey, and the growth and scale of current businesses that Jonathan has. So feel free to check out the episode, and if you like this, remember to subscribe and share with a friend. Now let's get into the episode. Jonathan, welcome to Dubai. Welcome to the Built Different podcast. How are you doing today?
Fantastic.
Right.
Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure.
No, you're welcome. And when you pulled up today, you pulled up in a Lambo, which was a nice wee touch.
You need to keep it consistent with Dubai, don't you? Need to be consistent.
Absolutely. So why are you in Dubai, just for the listeners?
Well, I'm actually here on my honeymoon, but I thought this was a fantastic occasion to touch base. Obviously, we've been doing a fair bit in the past, and I just couldn't pass down the opportunity. So I'm here for my honeymoon, and this did come at the cost of a very expensive massage for my new wife. I had to do a wee bit of trickery, book the massage first, get her excited, tell her about the treatment, and then ease in that it's not a couples massage. I was going to do a podcast.
Oh, she didn't tell her until the last minute?
No, not as I ushered her into the massage and ran away.
Well, I'm really honoured you took the time to come here outside your honeymoon, because I know if it was me, I wouldn't get the chance to do it if it was me and Sophie. So I wanted to get you on the podcast because we've been working together for a while in a couple of different ways, but you've got a really fantastic story to tell, which is obviously why I wanted to bring you on the podcast. Now, for people that don't know you, tell us a wee bit about yourself, your background, and I suppose what brought you here today.
Yeah, well, big background, same way everybody does. I suppose for the past 15 years I've worked across a couple of different sectors. My main passion in life was always fitness. I was a personal trainer for many years and did lots of different things with that. And then went out to Australia, where I started getting into property development. I was the guy sweeping up, watching the guys with the clipboards, and I thought, I'm at the wrong side of the table here. My back's killing me. Very interested, and met my previous boss out there, who was quite a large-scale property developer. He taught me how to do it, taught me all the moving parts, and I took that back to Scotland and started progressing that career, which was fantastic.
What age were you at this point?
I was probably 22 at this point. Australia was great. It really opened my eyes to what is out there. When you go out and see, standard houses have got pools and just that more opulent lifestyle, and you just knew there was more to it. And then you do the math and you realise, well, there's a lot more to it.
Yep.
To have it, especially out there. The real estate's crazy. It's London prices, so
It's quite expensive lifestyle cost over there, isn't it, if I'm right in saying that?
very much. Well, it depends, like anything. I suppose it's similar to Dubai. If you're just going about your normal day and you're cooking the foods that you normally do, and I stick to quite a healthy diet, then it was actually quite reasonable. But if you try and partake in all the extracurricular activities, the eating and drinking, it can quickly skyrocket.
Yep.
And again, real estate, if you want
Beach
to,
clubs, days out, all that sort of
yeah,
stuff.
which we did.
Yeah.
We definitely did. In property, if you buy property out there, it's postcodes. Bondi, it can be £2 million for a shack, but that's what you pay, isn't it?
It's the location, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So, came back to Scotland and focused on developments from smaller ones up to commercial to residential, and realised pretty quickly that's quite transferable, because when you're being a quote-unquote property developer, you're actually just pulling a lot of strings all the time, and it's forecasts, it's negotiations, it's contract, it's strategy, it's managing finance. So I knew there was more within my skill set to develop at that point, and I found the transition into business quite natural, as when you're in business anyway, but I knew that I wanted to be involved in different sectors, because although the property was good, they think it's glamorous, but it's really not. It's fighting with solicitors. It's been stressed by planning consultants. And that's actually how I got out of it. We had a massive development in Stirling, which tied up a lot of capital, and we were just hurdle after hurdle waiting on consent. And there was nothing that we could do to move this on. The building was getting dilapidated, the costs were going up, and I just found that this is so far out of my control that the harder you work doesn't really move things forward. So I felt that I had to take the steering wheel and do something that I could more readily impact.
Yeah, so it sounds like, and I know you're big into your fitness as you mentioned, but having control over those variables was pretty important to you.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
And in that property game, you maybe didn't have that. Is that right?
Yeah, well, that is it. That is it. I mean, you could go and get the deal, you can find the right site, you can do this, but then it's in a process, isn't it? And then something comes up, and the burdens that you don't see, that's always going to happen in business or anything you do. But there can be so many, which is most likely the case. A chain of events can go really bad in property, and once you're in. At least with business, you can navigate, or you can change your strategy, or there's so many ways. But if something's stuck in planning, and you've got bridging finance and investor finance tied up, I mean, all you can do is try and explain that away, but you run out of things to say after a while.
And a lot of these deals, it actually translates to business as well, acquisitions, but there's a lot of moving parts, and there's a lot of people in that deal trying to, get their piece of the pie as well and justify their existence almost. Yeah. In that deal, is that something came across quite often?
Oh, all the time. You see these big sums, and when it whittles down, is the juice worth the squeeze ultimately? And then the length of time it takes you to get that. Yeah. So if you're doing a really nice development, well, a smaller flip you could be in and out in a couple of months. If you're doing something that's a bit more, let's say, exciting but profitable, I mean, depends the size of it. That could be anywhere from 6 months to 18 months. And there's all the ongoing costs, that full time, and then you need to pull yourself onto other opportunity. You can't just wait in the one big main event coming in. So then you take your eye off the ball. So yeah, it was very challenging, and I work with a lot of developers now through one of the other businesses that I've got, and they're saying the same thing. And these guys are the best at what they do. Everybody's feeling the pain.
Okay, so that property part of your life and your career, what kind of age did that take you up to, and what was after that?
Probably around about 28. I'm going on 35 now, so everything's getting foggy. Somebody asked me the other day how long you've been training, and I said 20 years, and I thought, sounds like a long time to do anything.
I've been training 20 minutes, so
that's the best 20 minutes you've spent.
So 28, you kind of finished the property side, and it sounds like you kind of had enough of that hamster wheel stuff. What was next for you after that?
So quite naturally fell into one of the businesses I've got just now. An opportunity came up to come in and look at the business and work with the business and follow that journey, which was a massive jump in sector, and it being very niche. So it's like mechanical engineering and process plant equipment, and yeah, I understood. Well, I knew nothing about the property, and so I just got to grips with what a flashing was and what a slate was, and then the goalpost changed again. So this was all very technical. So it took a bit of time to get involved in that and nurtured that business. I got a lot of attention on it because the potential was phenomenal. I went into that business, I think it was turnover about 1.8 at the time. It's now just shy of 5 and en route for 10 this year. And that's only in a few short years to get there, and happy to open that up in more detail. Yeah,
please do. So when you came into the business, was your role to grow it and scale it at the time?
Yeah, it was quite loose at the start. It was basically just come in and see what you can do. Building the trust's important, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I was very upfront. I don't have a clue what you do. The more they described it, the more confusing it got. Yeah. So it did take a bit of time, which was the best thing ever, because when you put yourself in these environments, you realise you can learn it really quick, and ultimately it comes back to there's only so many fundamental levers you can pull. Yeah. And once you identify them, I mean, that's cross-sector, isn't it? It really is, minus a few sectors. Obviously, everything's getting a bit more disrupted with AI, so there's another lever that didn't exist then, but I'm learning how to pull that lever now as well.
Hey guys, Steven here with a quick interruption to the episode, but it's for good reason. I want to give a shout out to the official sponsors of the Built Different podcast, Suited and Booted. These guys are a premium formal and casual wear brand with stores across Dubai, Abu Dhabi and Glasgow, and I've been working with them for a while now, and to be honest, I was actually buying from them long before we became partners. I'm actually wearing some of their products today whilst recording this episode. They're on a mission to completely change the tailoring game, and they're doing it. The service, the attention to detail, the quality of the products, it's all first class. They genuinely outshine their competition. And you know what I love most is that we are aligned on values. They're humble, client focused, and all about creating a top tier experience. That's exactly how I try to run things too. So whether you're leveling up your wardrobe, prepping for your wedding, or just need to look sharp for a boat party, brunch, or big business event, go check out Suited and Booted. Head to suitedbooted.com, or better yet, visit one of their stores. You'll get the full experience and you'll leave feeling sharper, more confident, and ready for your next big event. Now, let's get back to the episode. So, if I'm right in saying that, I hope you don't mind me mentioning the name of the company. That's SBS, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, that business, you got involved at 1.8 million, and you managed to grow it at the moment till just around £5 million of revenue. What was the key things that you looked to implement to get that massive growth? Because that's pretty huge growth for a company that size. You know, in terms of the actual percentage of growth, that's massive.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just looked at it through the lens that I was looking at it through myself and the experience I was having. If you're describing this to me and I'm getting more confused, right, I didn't
simplify the thing.
I thought you need to make this that a 10-year-old will understand it, and by 10-year-old translates in the business arena to attention span.
Yep.
More than anything,
and even more so nowadays.
If you've not got your elevator pitch, the right terminology at the right place, that you're solving this problem that I'm looking for, you could be the best at what you do, and it gets lost in translation. So I broke that down to how I would want to see it, and then I realised that there was a lot of talent in there, but there wasn't a lot of clarity about who's doing what. There was quite a lot of kind of flock mentality. Every owner operator done a fantastic job. The business was 29 years old at this point.
So it's kind of set in its ways at this point in time, kind of stuck on that level of turnover, probably not growing, not dropping below it, kind of flatlining.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Fair to say, and it could have, because of the nature of the lumpier, bigger sales, it could have a spike. But that doesn't reflect the everyday operating, the trajectory, the predictability, which for me, if that's not there, it's not really a business. It's risky, even although if you can keep doing it.
Yep.
But it's just too high risk, because what happens if you can't keep doing it? Things crop up, like your motivation. That can change. Health can change.
Oh God,
COVID, anything can change now. So. There was a lot, and I always say with business owners that nobody knows your business like you, but that's probably your biggest downfall.
It's a positive and negative, isn't it?
Yeah. You can't see the woods for the trees. I was actually watching a TikTok. Well, my wife was. I don't watch TikTok, and it was this new thing that's going to. I don't know if it's new, but if you stand in the mirror and you look at yourself long enough, I think it's like over 11 minutes. I don't know who's got 11 minutes to do that. Some vain person. Your face starts to change. You can see yourself winking, or something happens. And it just shows you the longer you look at something, it can trick you.
Yeah.
Or it just all gets muddled, so you can't see the woods from the trees. So it was very much, it's good to bring somebody new into a business with new ideas, with proven concept, and understand the fundamental levers, because sometimes that wee spark, everybody's got something good to say, but they could phrase it a certain way and you think, I've never done that, or I've not had the confidence to do that, or do you think we could do that, and that was a big thing. I think it was the confidence.
Yeah.
When you've done what you've done for 29 years, are you in a place where you're going to start taking big, bold moves when you've found a winning formula? And we didn't take bold moves, we just changed the positioning. So got the business recognised and won Global Trade Business of the Year and got all the right accreditations for it and started going after the big fish at that point.
Yeah, some of those big fish, I don't know if you're allowed to name them or not, but some of the contracts you've told me about off camera that you've won in the last year or so, maybe longer than that, has been really, really impressive. And I think the ones that you've got in the pipeline as well, the growth of SBS and the future of SBS is looking extremely positive. And I know it's not just you, I know you've got a team around you, but has that been, rewarding, having took that business from where it is to where it is now? And what's the kind of longer term plan for SBS?
I have this conversation all the time, and I'd love to say it's rewarding, but the goalposts just move.
Yeah, what's the next thing?
What's the next thing? You fascinate about a milestone. It could be financial, it could be organisationally, it could be an accreditation. You get that, and you don't dwell on it for very long. It is, that's done now.
Yeah.
Say it back to the training thing as well. We're talking about the bodybuilding, and it's the most unhealthy sport because you can get the best shape and then you get tweezers to get a bit of body fat and you say, not lean enough. So it's the same, I think. It will depends how you're built, what the mentality is like.
Yeah.
A lot of people are wanting to scale their business to 10, 15, 20 million, but that's a bit of either vanity or ego. But you need to understand what you're actually calling on. What does that look like?
Yeah.
What does the sacrifice look like? And I think when you get to a certain level, you go, well, I can still handle that. It's getting more exciting. That challenge was easier to overcome. That's opened the door. Then it was quite natural. So the way we're doing that is obviously building the ecosystem and looking at adding on additional companies.
Okay.
So anywhere from crane companies, electrical engineering companies, mechanical engineering companies. Can't get into too much detail about the jobs that we've been working with and our clients, but they are blue chip companies.
Yeah. The companies everyone's heard of.
Yeah, everybody's heard of them. Drink manufacturers, so helping them with expansions, relocations, and to get to that point, it was no small feat. We were up against serious competitors with these tenders, and I recognised how we could position ourselves to be small and mighty. Relatively small team. Most people, when I mention the size, they think you can't be doing those numbers, but you can. Then there's definitely a strategy in there to do that, and we've made it work. But it is time now to grow that quite significantly.
Okay, we'll come on to that in a wee second, because I think that's pretty exciting, the acquisition part, and obviously something that's pretty close to my heart. Going and looking back, at the last 5-10 years in business, what's been the biggest challenges you've faced?
The biggest challenge, same with it's your mindset. It's your mindset. If you don't have the mindset, then you doubt yourself, or you second guess yourself, you don't have the confidence, it's over. It's over, and that's on any level. That could be going to the shops. If you get anxiety from going to the shops, and going for a pint of milk can be terrifying. The same way for somebody buying a £50 billion business could be terrifying. So, the mindset's been really important, and probably not taking rejection too personally. Yeah, I think everything was just like, why me?
Yeah, the rejection things. But nobody likes getting rejected. Whether it's in business, personal life, whatever. But it's something, especially in business, you have to get used to. And I'm a wee bit concerned that my kids growing up and younger generation, I suppose, aren't getting used to rejection, because it is part of life. And I listened to Spencer Lodge a long time ago, who's a really big entrepreneur out here in Dubai, and the thing that he said on one of his podcasts was, when he was a young salesman coming through, I think he was selling printers back in the UK at the time, and he was told by his boss, don't worry about getting a sale, just go out there and get 99 no's today.
Yeah.
And it's just reframed the whole thing. You know, get used to rejection, because the more rejection you get, it's a numbers game. You'll then convert a win somewhere in there. And if you get used to rejection, you can handle it, you take it on your shoulders, and away you go. The mindset thing you mentioned, is that something that you actively work on? Do you read books? Do you listen to podcasts? Do you go and try and better yourself on that front?
Yeah, every day. I mean, as you know, I'm up anywhere between kind of 3 and 4 in the morning. Morning routines of preparation for the day, get a bit of work done, see where my motivation's at for what I want to talk about in social medias that day, what's relevant, what's right, get to the gym, get to the training, constantly reading. Obviously, I'm just listening to this podcast all the time. Built different. it's on repeat.
It's on repeat, yeah.
But yeah, no, you take development from everything. Everything I'm doing, I'm just quite an inquisitive person. Want to know more. Very interested in a lot of different topics.
Yeah.
I'm learning different languages just now as well. I have a tutor that comes in a few times a week for French.
So you're constantly, it's not just about the mindset, you're actually challenging yourself in different ways to constantly keep yourself sharp.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. The stimulus you get off of different stimuluses, I suppose, are different. So you've got your nutrition pillar, you've got your rest and walking and moving pillar, you've got your language pillar, you've got your business pillar, you've got your social element pillar, which is probably my weakest pillar. I don't get much time for that.
That's not a bad thing. I mean, I'm the same. When I was growing up, I used to always, I probably had more time for social than I did business when I was younger, which is quite common for most people. But there comes a point when you have to transition away from that because it's not productive. And, you know, going back to something you said earlier in the podcast, going to the gym is something, and working out and exercising, it might not look like it, but I've been starting to do that the last year or so myself, a bit more, you know, intentionally. And it's that thing where you control the body, you control the mind sort of thing. And I've noticed a big difference in my productivity just in the last year by getting up a wee bit earlier, going for a walk in the morning, going to the gym before I even look at emails, respond to messages. And there's something to be said about, it's funny, most successful people I know and people that are doing things do look after themselves physically as well. Hey guys, quick one before we jump back into the episode. If you're a business owner or a high performing exec and you've ever thought about buying a business without risking your own cash, then I've built something for you. I've launched a brand new online mentorship program that breaks down exactly how I've done it. Real world strategies, no fluff, no recycled theory, just the stuff that actually works. If you want to learn how to find deals, structure them properly and start building real wealth through acquisition, then click the link in the show notes or description and I'll see you inside. Now let's get back to the episode.
Yeah. Oh, it's a trifecta of, again, pillars that you need to keep going. I get diagnosed this year with ADHD.
Right.
I went through the NHS years ago because I just knew that there's something ticking. There's something always ticking there. I went private. That was massive. From getting the medication, and that really just changed everything. All the noise comes out, you get focused, and there's a lot of people in business that have this, which is probably why they're in business. It's a great tool, but if you're not got the systems and the processes in your life, from the training to the diet to your work life, then it will be a riot, and it will be a rocky road. So I took on the carnivore diet last year, and that was one of the best things I ever did. Your brain's just sharp all the time. Costs a fortune.
I've dabbled with different things in the past, and we're going off in tangents, which is absolutely fine with me. But I'd done the bulletproof diet a couple of years ago, the Dave Asprey one.
Yeah.
I've done that before.
Yeah.
Where you kind of skip breakfast, but you have like a black coffee with ghee butter or something and mix it up with MCT oil, and that had a massive benefit for me at that time. I'm off that now, but when you actually do what you should do from a nutrition perspective, physical perspective, it does have a massive impact on your performance in business. And I see that all the time. So, okay, in terms of you mentioned this before, and this is, I could talk about this all day, acquisitions. So why is acquisitions a strategy that you have been doing for a while, and why is it going to be part of the future for you in terms of a growth strategy?
It's a collection of everything I spoke about there. It's a collection of the transferable skills. It's a collection of understanding those essential levers, being good at strategy, and most selfishly, to be stimulated. Sometimes you think, I'd do this for free, but I shouldn't say that on a podcast, should I?
No, only edit that bit out.
I get that bit out, that's not good. But when you're stimulated, it changes everything as well. That's another, those pillars. Yep. If you do all of those things, you're stimulated. I find structuring the deal really stimulating, finding that win-win scenario for business owners, where we had a conversation with a business owner this week, and they had a fantastic business, 13 and a half years, over 10 million turnover, and just at a bit of a crossroads. Done everything he could do with it, had a figure that he wanted to exit, and when we sat down, it was pretty realistic. So we're working through a process just now how to get him that figure. It was £2 million over a couple of years, and finding that win-win scenario is motivating. Yep. You're obviously helping somebody out of a business that they're getting the credit for and the reward for. If they don't then go to, a lot of people are jumping on to business brokers. They say go to the business broker, and we all know they're the estate agents. Yep. I've sold loads of houses, and they come in, they say the market's hot, people are getting 15% above home report, and then the next week they say, oh, it's tailed off a bit. Do
you know, brokers are actually, it's a good analogy, but a lot worse than estate agents, because at least estate agents, generally speaking, can sell the house because the house is actually worth something.
Yeah.
Whereas quite often in businesses, small businesses aren't actually worth a lot of money. But when they go to a broker, and you know the broker's telling them, yeah, we can get you £1 million, when they're even breaking even, they're not actually making any profit, and they've inflated this price. It never actually sells. There's loads of information around this, but the stats back it up. There's something like 80+% of businesses listed don't actually sell. And again, going back to the analogy, at least with estate agents the hit rate's slightly higher, but you're right, they're not conducive to doing good deals or getting deals done. They're actually a bit of a blocker.
Well, I think so. They set the expectations so high. Yeah. I've looked at a couple, and I'm actually still in negotiation with a nursery group from probably 6 months ago, maybe more. But the valuation was so wild, and I actually met with a woman, really nice woman, but she's heard this number now, and the reality's not there. There's a group of 5. The back end isn't consolidated. There's different managers. There seems to be quite a lot of movement with the staff. And I always say to a business owner, how well's your business ran? And they'll say, phenomenal.
Oh, they'll say that.
They're always phenomenal. That phenomenal that they want to sell.
Plus the best year is always next year.
Yeah. Oh, we're just on the cusp.
Yeah.
I always say, if I was to come to your premise today and you were going to go on a 2-month cruise, could I just run this from today? And they'll say, no, probably not. Yeah. Very quickly. And you say, well, why is that? Why could you not do that? And they say, oh, well, it's this and it's that. So already you're having a good conversation, and you're not there trying to, like the property days, you're trying to get everything low value, buy low, sell high. You're actually trying to just get the value to the business owner in a way that makes sense for both parties. Yeah. And it's more just trying to realise that an owner-operator business is layered with problems. A lot of people, the relationships are with the owner, and that's not good for a buyer. And on this occasion, what was the turnover? She was wanting basically, I think 3 million, which if you just took 3 million out your back pocket and bought that, it would take you 15 years to get your money back.
Which is, from an investor's perspective, and you're not just a buyer, you're an investor.
Of course.
That is an absolutely ludicrous return on investment. Yeah. And we all know that, you and I know this, a business is actually so volatile that and I've been in this position where I've bought a business in full and had various issues after it. But as soon as you step into that business as the new owner, 100% owner, stuff does go wrong every time. So you'll have customers that are getting, a little bit edgy. They might want to leave. You'll have staff who are feeling anxious because they don't know you. Even though I've been there where I actually stand in front of them and tell them, everyone's cool, we're not changing anything, and then I lost 2 operations managers within a month. They just get a wee bit anxious. So when you're stepping into a business, buying it in full, there's always things that can go wrong. So when you're structuring it, to again use your example, I know you're just doing that as an example for the audience, but giving 3 million to somebody as a full acquisition for that type of business is crazy, because just at its current trajectory, it would take you 15 years, but it's likely to drop off a bit when you buy it.
Of course.
And then there's no guarantee it's coming back.
Yeah.
And so there's loads of ways to structure. One of the things I wanted to speak to you on that is actually one of the ways that both you and I know how to help business owners when they're in that position where they might want £1 million or whatever the figure is, but the reality of the situation is nobody's actually going to pay that on the planet. Nobody's going to pay £1 million. It's maybe worth £500,000 today in today's market. One of the things that you can help with, though, is go in to the business on in some sort of equity position, whether it's minority or majority, but work with the existing business owner and help them bridge that delta to get to £1 million valuation. And it's an interesting strategy. We call it consulting for equity. Talk to me a wee bit about that in terms of the value that can bring to a business.
Yeah, well, I'm doing a couple of those just now where very much went into the business quite organically, and there was a figure thrown out and they wanted to exit for, again, 2 million, but it was just not in line with what the turnover was at all, nearly. So I basically had to work back and to say, look, if you were going to exit right now for 2 million, this is what it would need to look like. And just to showcase that's how far off you were. And then all of a sudden, very good business owner to talk to, very accountable. So that's the best thing.
Yep.
I've always said the best place to meet somebody is on equal terms.
Yep.
And that, for me, no hard sell. If I can go in and add value, great. If I can't, it's just not worth the time. It doesn't matter what you're making from it. If it's too clunky and they're not going to share the vision, then it's only going to stop you from making money for both sides. Yep. in another way. So that works phenomenally when you're, again, seeing the woods for the trees and there's a bit more of a clear path, and there might be a couple of things that you can do in there. That could be social worker for the business owner.
Yep.
It could be access to clients. It could be access to finance. It could be understanding operational requirements that's maybe been overlooked. Yep. And most of the time it is a combination of these things and getting the noise out. Yep. Business owners, you only know what you know. But I always say to people in business, you need to know what you don't know. Yep. If you want to get to the next level. And no business owner of any really impressive level doesn't have strategic partners, board of advisors that work directly in the business and indirectly as well. Yep. Because we can see it so many times where there's
becomes an echo chamber, doesn't it? Yeah,
it definitely does. And if everybody in your organisation is just agreeing with you because of your position, yep. that's not conducive. Yep. So I think it's good to have a bit of diversity in there as well. And if you're wanting somebody to come in with the ambition of growing with you, so it's mutual benefit. Yep. Ultimately, they're wanting to leave at one point, and you're wanting to continue it or sell with them. As I spoke with a business owner one time, and they said, "Well, it sounds like business coaching," and I said, "No, well, there's a big difference between business coaching. One, not all, but a lot have never ran a business. Correct. And two, they're paid for an hour, 2 hours a month. Yep. They'll maybe be getting 2, 3, 4, 5 plus. Once it's done, it's done. They can be fantastic at what they do, but unless you take those 2 hours of absolute gold, and I think we spoke about this before, in every hour conversation, there is only 30 seconds of gold. Yeah. there's something in there that will move the needle.
Yep.
And then the longer you're with the coach, the more you're talking about, oh, how's such and such and this and that. So are you extracting the hours value and are you inputting that, and is it measured to get the ROI? When if somebody's consulting for equity, you're very much putting the strategy in place, structured with milestones, structured with, again, everybody's wanting the same outcome, and if it's agreed that it's a blend of consulting to equity whilst doing an MBO, they want to make sure they can get out, and we would want to make sure that we can get it to that point, because we're de-risking our entrance and they're de-risking that exit.
Totally.
So we're trying to get that perfect blend in the middle, and that's back to structuring the deal and getting the win-win.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and there's so many ways to structure deals, and I would describe you as a deal maker. You're somebody who is able to piece those different bits together and make it happen. But ultimately, if you're coming in as a full 100% buyer, or even a smaller shareholder, 20, 30, 40%, whatever it may be, your job with the business owner is to add shareholder value, add systems, processes, cut the fat, increase the profits, make it a more sellable asset, because again, we've touched on this already, most businesses, most SMEs, and to kind of frame that, most businesses doing up to 5, 6, 7 million in revenue, they're pretty much owner-led, majority of them, and everything's in their head.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, if you if you take most of those owners out for 2 months, the thing would crumble, and it wouldn't be there in 2 months. And if it was, it'd be a carcass.
Yeah.
There'd be nothing left. So, yeah, I would describe you as a deal maker, somebody that can piece these different bits together. And obviously, you're somebody who's extremely focused, motivated, and bringing you into a business allows them to really get access to your skills and your experience, and the fact that you don't give up.
Yeah.
Which is what I like about you.
Yeah. Some people call it a pain in the ass, but I think you need that wee wasp kind of about all the time. I mean, one of the businesses I did that with, the shareholder value now is more at, let's say, 30% than it was at 100%.
Yep.
And that's stepping right back. Having everything that you worked for at the right time in your life and being able to enjoy it, because sometimes you don't, and that's what we talk about all the time. Is it's hard when you are go all the time, because you, even when you're working, you don't really stop to smell the coffee. Well, I'm on my honeymoon coming to do a podcast, and you just feel that you always need to keep going. You need to keep going, and that does come at a cost. You definitely love doing it, but you need to stay super consistent all the time, and that's fine at different periods of your life, but not everybody wants to do that forever.
Totally. It's in my experience, it's like you have to sprint at times, and then other times in your life you have to kind of slow down and just relax, but then sprint again, when the time's right. Oh,
100%. You like to think you can do it all the time, but it's life will come and slow you down. It definitely does, and it's when you least expect it. I've seen it before. I broke my back, and I was pushing, doing this and doing that, and that was my body just saying, enough. And I was young then. I think I was 20 and had to get spinal surgery. And I mean, what 20-year-old breaks their back unless it's something really extreme, like a car? It was wear and tear, trying to do everything, and then that derailed me for a long time, mentally, physically, emotionally. You need to do the build back up, and stress is a killer, isn't it?
Totally. So as we begin to wrap up, Jonathan, going back to the acquisitions for a wee minute, so what type of businesses are you looking to work with, i.e. consult for equity or buy outright? What types of businesses, industry, geography, what type of owner, what are you looking for?
Well, currently I started being a bit more niche for what I was looking for, and I very quickly realised that it's business owner dependent. It's back to that shared vision. Proven concept for myself. I can go into businesses I know nothing about and have an impact, but that was because it was the right owners, the right mentality, the right mindset, and we found that win-win. So originally it was mechanical, engineering, electrical, service-based businesses were interesting, but I've looked at loads of other ones. I'm involved in other ones now that are nothing to do with that. I'm not sitting and list all the ones I wouldn't do. Don't want to offend anybody. But it's relationship based.
Yes.
I find it really much relationship based. If we can all get on the same page, businesses normally doing from about 1 million to 10. I would look at those.
Yep.
But that being said, at the right person at the right time for less with the right attitude, and that lines up with mine.
Yep.
They might not resonate with me, and you need to resonate with each other.
Yeah.
So not as sector dependent as I once was, more person dependent.
Yeah, it's a good way to finish, because having done similar to yourself, I've done loads of deals in the past. Just because you can do a deal doesn't mean you should. I've worked with people, particularly on a consultant for equity deal, actually, who you help out in the beginning and then their true colours come out. So being aligned on values, being aligned on what the mission is, the vision, so important. So no, I totally resonate with that. Jonathan, it's been a quick episode because we had to go and park your Lambo outside, which took a wee bit longer than we thought. But it's been great to have you on, mate. I think the listeners will get a lot of value from that, and we should definitely do this again.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. It's been an absolute delight.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Cheers.